Hey, good afternoon, Liz. It's Mr. Robot.
Hi, Mr. Robot. I know I'm sorry about last week. We had difficulties getting together, so it's all my fault. I'm sorry. Um, I'm so excited. What do you have for us this evening?
Um, so I have just a few things to probe, and as per usual, I'll just see where it takes us and see how the chat can evolve. A little bit in depth on the crystal skulls, and then this concept of the Council of 13. So, have you ever had anyone probe the crystal skulls with you before?
No, never.
Awesome. Perfect.
No, there's only one Mr. Robot in the world. And he came to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Fire away.
So I don't know about how all the crystal skulls their properties, but there's a few of them that have been found in dig sites, archaeological dig sites, and what makes the information really interesting is the skulls, or I can't truly speak confidently if there's plural, but the one that I know of, which may or may not be this one on the screen, one of them in particular was cut against the grain, which isn't possible with tools of the era. So they're basically a huge mystery because they're found all around the world, and they're always, typically the defining feature is that they're made with precision that isn't possible with the tools of the eras, that of like the remnants. So like this one is found in ancient Mesoamerica. Can you channel this crystal skull, its history, just from the image?
Yeah, why not? What is interesting is when it wants to talk to me, it has to be like right up next to my face. It's
Facing
so
you?
weird. Hmm?
Facing you?
No, it's kind of, well, facing me, yes, but to my left. So it's like right up against my left cheek. It's like I'm this close, right? It just, I don't know why it has to be this close to me, but it is.
I'll ask it. Why does it need to be close?
Why do you need to be close? To make sure my message is heard. It likes human contact. It likes to be held. It likes to be, you know, admired by humans. It really loves humans.
Ask if it was made by humans.
Were you made by humans? No.
Who made it?
Who made you? It's pointing up at the sky.
Ask if it was an artifact from an alien.
Is this an artifact? Are you an artifact from an alien? That's correct.
So, people who theorize what the crystal skulls could be go into what memory cards might look like in the future, because the highest memory capacity thing that we know of is actually crystals. So the theory is that this might be just a gigantic memory card full of terabytes of information. Can you ask if it works like a memory card?
Like a memory card? No.
Cool.
It does hold information, but not as a memory card.
Oh, well, ask if there's information in it that can be released through technology.
through technology. No.
And what is the best way to access information from the crystal skull?
What is the best way to access information from you? To hold it and to feel it and to get information that way. So I understand what it means because aliens can pretty much do what I do, right? Except in contact with the spirit world. So they can touch anything, they can hold anything and gain information from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the energy that has been put deep inside of it.
Okay. So,
and that is a memory.
So can people meditate with the skull in their hands and unlock information within themselves?
No, it can only unlock information with the universe.
Okay. Yeah, so ask if this skull that you're talking to, this one in particular, right?
Uh-huh.
Ask if it was cut against the grain.
That is correct.
Yeah, and ask if that was via laser.
No, it was through energy. They can create whatever they want to just by moving their hands around and cutting that way. So the energy can be really sharp and it can cut.
Yeah, so as a higher being, if you wanted to leave an artifact, you would want to leave something that had a telltale sign of your intelligence, kind of like the pyramids, the accuracy. If you cut a crystal against its grain, they shatter. So the fact that they're made against the grain is what blows everyone's minds. And basically, you would literally need a modern day laser to do that, but they were found in I don't even know, ancient. I should have a year here for you, but Mesopotamia. So they were found in these times, but they were from way earlier. But anyways,
they go back thousands of years.
Yeah, let's see what kind of information we can get from the crystal skull. Can you ask the crystal skull how many were made for the planet Earth?
Before the planet Earth?
For
planet Earth.
How many are placed on Earth that are like it?
Thousands.
Interesting. So they're all over the place, huh?
Yeah, and they're buried really deep within rock, down very deep to the Earth's core, close to, they're way down there.
Yeah, so there's even a Indiana Jones episode about this, or movie. Can we actually pull in Bashar for some clarifying questions on the skull?
Yeah, of course. He's been waiting for you. Okay, I've got him here. Erediff says, "What about me? What about me?"
Oh, we could probably pull him in.
What's so funny is after I have a session with you, my room looks like the Star Wars bar. Where
I bet.
Where all the creatures are like hanging around and eating.
Yeah.
And that's what my room looks like.
That is so funny.
I have to get him out of here. Because Bashar, to me, is like an electric blue Jabba the Hutt.
So does Bashar look like this? Let me find one. He should look relatively human-like.
So go back up. Okay, keep going. Okay, stop. That right in the middle here. Down, go down. There. It looks, the outline is like that with a face.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's actually, that's awesome. That's actually very similar to, there's this book. You know what's interesting is I went to this esoteric store, and I was attracted to this book, and it said like types of alien creatures, and one of them was a chapter on the Essassani, which is actually supposed to be what Bashar is. Can you confirm that Bashar, is he the Essassani?
No.
Why does he say, or is he the Sassani?
Yes.
All right. Just want to confirm his, what he looks like, but I'm not seeing an Essassani individual. Anyways, ask Bashar what his perspective is on the crystal skulls.
They're implants.
What good do they do for the earth?
They make you aware of a higher civilization than humans that has been around for millions of years.
Okay. And ask him if there's any information encoded into the crystal skull.
Is there any information encoded into the crystal skull? Yes.
And how do we unlock it?
How do we unlock it? Telepathically.
Okay. So you were connected to this crystal skull. Can you ask it what secret it has for the earth that it's been wanting to communicate?
That aliens exist.
Well, it definitely would be groundbreaking for anyone who didn't know that. But
the fact that they've existed for millions and billions, he's saying, of years, and they're so far advanced ahead of our time.
mm-hmm.
It's the shock factor. They were on Earth before humans were.
Ask Bashar if other planets in our solar system have crystal skulls.
Yes, Mars.
And are there any on Jupiter?
Are there any on Jupiter? Not that he's aware of.
Is there any life within Jupiter?
Yes.
Is it beneath the surface?
I wouldn't say really beneath the surface, but it's ground level.
Is it like germs?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to say the wind on Jupiter is like 600 miles an hour, I think, something like that.
Oh,
but,
gosh.
Yeah, it's actually a big storm, the whole planet. But
is the whole planet a big storm? That is correct.
Yeah, it's a gassy place. But what does Erudif think about the crystal skulls?
Erudif says they're amazing. Proud. Erudif is very proud of those skulls.
Ask if any of the ones found were from Erudif's race.
Several.
Ask them if they were from the Palladians.
No.
Can you confirm, is Eridif a Palladian?
Are you a Palladian? No.
Okay.
That's a very generic term.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about this stuff, so.
Yeah. Well, so on that note, Robert Gauthier, who channels Eridif, just says that Eridif is a Palladian. It's like on his website right there, plain as day right here. So Palladian from Denab. Can you ask him if he's a Palladian from Denab or Deneb?
Deneb is correct, yes. Palladian is a very generic term.
Yeah. Ask him if he looks anything like this picture.
No, but is projecting himself to me in that way so that I can recognize who it is.
And is he...
That's interesting because, excuse me, when spirit are coming through, they can choose to project themselves any way they want to. So I've had spirits that have passed in their 90s, but come through looking like they're 40 with bleach blonde hair and a fabulous haircut and a skinny waist. And, you know, so they can choose to show you whatever they want to show you. And Eridif comes through looking like that. So I recognize who Eridif is. But no, I don't feel Eridif looks anything like that.
Can you just do the audience a favor and ask Eridif to show you what he actually looks like, if it's recognizable?
Okay. Can you show us what you look like? So as I'm looking, Eridif is actually just a outline of energy.
Yeah, I figured that would be the case. And then, by the way, to backtrack something you said, you said Eridif said, "What about me?" At what point in the conversation did Eridif pop up?
Well, because Eridif, as soon as they were here waiting for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they tend to line up. Spirits will do that too. Before a reading, oftentimes, you know, the person that I'm about to call has their loved one standing here.
Wow, cool. Okay, so ask Bashar if the crystal skulls have anything to do with something called the Council of 13.
No, that's a conscious mind construct.
Okay, and ask Bashar if there's 13 people on the planet that have boarded alien ships freely.
No. Again, that's a conscious mind construct.
So in one of Bashar's videos, he mentions the Council of 13. Can you ask, and that it was related to the crystal skulls? Can you ask Bashar what the Council of 13 is in relation to this crystal skulls?
What is the Council of 13 in relation? Because they buy them.
Okay, so the Council of 13 is buying the skulls.
Yes, they pay a lot of money for them. They keep them in a vault.
And ask if those 13 people are in contact with aliens.
Those 13 people in contact with aliens. No, but it is their dream to be in contact.
Okay, and let's just see if that has anything to do with this somewhat conspiracy type thing. Is it the 13 most powerful families on the planet?
Yes, if, about 4 or 5 of them are collecting these crystal skulls.
Okay, and let's ask Bashar if the Council of 13 it has more power than the Bilderberg group.
No, because
And
the Council of 13 are not amalgamated.
yeah, because they're just families, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that has to do with some people are wondering about certain conspiracies and groups of people that lead the planet. And I'm wondering if Bashar has any insight onto that. Does Bashar have any insight into the god Moloch?
Very little.
Can you ask Bashar if Moloch the owl is a real entity?
No, that's a conscious mind construct.
Okay. And does Bashar think the Freemasons have any power over the planet Earth?
Yes.
Do they pull the strings for the economy and the world?
No.
And what is Bashar's interpretation on what the Freemasons bigot, or I don't know if there's a difference between Freemasons and Masons. Let's just say Masons. What is Bashar's perspective on what is their biggest secret?
They do a lot of work behind the scenes, lobbying and paying people off. Excuse me.
So what people wonder though is, are people on the planet in high power doing like sacrifices, human sacrifice?
No. That's a lower income class on the planet, not the upper echelon.
And on that same note, does the upper echelon indulge in a drug made from adrenaline?
No, that's a conscious mind construct.
It would be called adrenochrome, I believe.
No, that's false information.
Yeah. And what does Bashar think about the Black Eye Club?
The Black Eye Club?
Yeah.
I've never heard of the Black Eye Club unless it's, the famous joke like what has 6 tits and 3 teeth, third shift at Waffle House. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll get to its explanation. What does Bashar think of the Black Eye Club? Is it a real conspiracy?
Says it's very bizarre.
So there's
Thinks
some people
that humans are very bizarre in our thinking. We distort reality so much.
Yeah, definitely. So some people think, because a lot of royals and the Pope all had a black eye on the same side, that it indicates that there is a satanic ritual that they're all going through to be in their power that they are in?
No.
Cool. Well, I love just knocking out conspiracies. So
We're knocking them out tonight. The Black Guy Club. That is so funny. Oh my God. I hope my joke about the Waffle House doesn't offend anybody.
No, that was a good one. So more about the crystal skull. When does Bashar think the public consensus will be that they were made by aliens?
Oh, it's going to be 1,000 years out at least.
And does anything happen? This is another theory. When you bring all the crystal skulls together.
Ooh, does anything happen when you bring all the crystal skulls together? Yes, you have access to unlimited power.
Yeah, so the theory is, I mean, they even portrayed it in the movie that when you put them all together in this room and the number is 13 skulls, something would happen, like a gateway might happen or something. Can you ask Bashar if there's a gateway that would open up?
That is correct. It's a portal.
And would it resemble anything like a Stargate?
Resemble anything like a Stargate? Yes, that is correct.
And would the Stargate work like a wormhole?
No, it works as a tunnel.
And could people walk through the Stargate?
No, it would vacuum you up and take you to another dimension.
Okay, and then what happens when we enter the next dimension?
What happens when we enter the next dimension? It will spit us out somewhere in space.
And will Earthlings ever do that?
I feel like they already have.
Yeah, so we probed that CIA guy. Do you remember when Andrew Basiago?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you need like a chapter on your YouTube so we can put all these weird videos under under its own playlist. But we channeled Andrew Basiago, who has all this information about working with I forgot the name of the machine, a holograph or a hollow. He basically worked with like this time machine. Can you ask Bashar if the time machine that Andrew Basiago used was a true event?
Was it true? A true event? Or was it a true thing? Yes, it was true.
And are people still using this technology to view backwards in time?
No, they don't have access to it.
So you have to assume that the program is still running, maybe in a different way. It was called Project Pegasus. Can you ask Bashar if Project Pegasus is still active?
No.
Why isn't the government still using this technology? Or are
Too
they?
dangerous.
And from Bashar's perspective, were they able to transport physically or was it mentally?
Both.
And how did the machine work that Andrew Basiago used?
It used energy.
How did we figure out how to make this machine now, from Bashar's perspective?
They had to create a hole, a very strong energy, stronger than G-force. They didn't actually know where people were going to end up.
Mm-hmm. And
some people got lost. They never came back.
Can you ask Bashar if this was actually a picture of Andrew Basiago at the Gettysburg Address?
Oh, yes, but in a previous life. So it looks like you are going back to your past lives.
So you might encompass a vessel, like, I can't even think of a good way to describe it. Like plugging in different games into a computer, where you are still you, but you're a different character in each game. Maybe that's how the machine works. But this is who Andrew. So Andrew says that he went back in time to view the Gettysburg Address, and he says someone took a photo and he saw himself in the photo, and he claims that you can see his foot, one of his feet, is starting to phase forward or backwards in time as the picture was being taken.
His foot was starting to face forward or backward?
It would be forward from this moment. Can you confirm that with Bashar?
Yes, that is correct. I don't know what you mean by that.
So he was watching the Gettysburg Address, and then let's just say the program, the Matrix, or the, I don't know what you want to call it, the machine that he's using to time travel was in the process of pulling him back into the present. And there's, according to him, photo evidence of his foot was starting to phase from whatever this is. Let's just call it 1800 to 2000.
But you see, what I'm getting is, in that photograph, when it was taken at that time, a soul occupied a body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But obviously, as time moves on, the souls leave those bodies that were photographed.
Yeah.
What
So
they actually did was reoccupy their original soul.
Right. Yeah. Let's confirm that with Bashar. Can you ask if this physical body left this scene after Andrew left this time zone?
That's a good question. leave the scene after he left that time zone? No, the physical body stayed there. But because that was a moment in time on a timeline, he was able to go back and visit it.
So Andrew also says that he went back in time to the moment when Jesus was being crucified. Can you see if Bashar can confirm if that's true?
Did he go back to the moment when Jesus is being crucified? Yes, he believes that's correct.
Yeah, so I mean, assuming that technology is true, and this is Andrew, and we've proved that he did travel in time. Here's a picture of Andrew talking about the photo. Then why wouldn't the other information that he said be true? So he also said that, he went back and watched the crucifixion and lots of historical events happen. Can you ask Bashar if they ever went forwards in time with this machine to the future?
Yes. And that created a problem because they can go backwards in time and occupy a body that is no longer, occupied by a soul. But when they're moving forward in time, they're lost. And that's where people went missing.
Okay, makes sense. Can you ask?
Because that timeline has not been formed as of yet, solidified.
Can you ask Andrew if he ever personally went into the future with the machine?
Is he dead now?
Yeah.
I thought so because he's standing here in hologram form. Did you ever go in the future with your time machine? Once he tried to, but he came quickly back because it was just too scary. He could feel that his soul was leaving his body.
Ask him if it felt differently than when he went backwards in time.
Very different. His soul wasn't leaving the earth plane. When he was going in the future, his soul was leaving the earth plane. Weird.
So I wonder if he had to experience like a mini death for it to work. In other words, can you ask him if that's how it worked for the future movement?
Yes, that is correct. And there may not have been a chance that he would have made it back alive. Good question.
Can you ask Andrew if that technology is still being used to look at the past?
Is that technology still being used to look at the past? No.
And I assume the best use of this technology is actually to look at current time, like mentally move yourself. It's almost like remote viewing on steroids because you can like project yourself into they described it as a holographic copy of the universe. And I feel like the government would definitely have a lot of interest in that. Can you ask them if they use that machine for current time travel, like exploring the time in the current sense?
Let me rephrase that question. What am I asking?
So what makes the technology interesting is that it allows your mind to travel wherever you want. Can you ask them if the government uses that technology to view their what they're interested in?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can insert any group into that question. I'm sure you could use it to sit in on a conversation is kind of what I'm getting at. Can they use that technology to sit in on like into secret areas that aren't normally accessible?
Not really tried that too much. Now, that's interesting to me because I had someone contact me a few years ago that there was a group of five. There was a group of five of them, and they all decided to remote view when, if you remember, when that embassy was being attacked and Hillary Clinton and Obama and everybody, what was that? It was the attack on the embassy.
Huh. Yeah, not familiar with that one.
It was the U.S. It was a U.S. Attack on the U.S. embassy. And some of our diplomats were killed.
And
now,
what they get with all the remote viewers?
So they sat in on the conversation that was going on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they were orchestrating or some sort of fabricated event. Now, what is so interesting is 4 out of 5 of those remote viewers, within 3 years of that remote viewing session, all died in car accidents.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's actually why I don't probe things that are too important.
They came to me to ask, like, why? Why did that happen?
Oh,
and it actually, I don't normally get scared of things, but that really bothered me. It was scary to me because I thought, well, if I probe it, what's going to happen to me? So I actually left that alone. But 4 out of those 5 viewers all died in car accidents within 3 years of that viewing.
Yeah, whenever there's a top secret thing going on and people out there have access to everything, it's better not to access it.
Yeah, but she thought that was very strange. Clapham South. Okay, I know Clapham very well.
Oh, well, I don't know if this obviously probably isn't exactly what I wanted to show the audience, but the next thing worth diving into are these massive underground bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
And some people think that there might be collaboration with extraterrestrials in some of these deep bases. Can you ask Bashar if there's any deep underground bases that work with extraterrestrials?
Are there any deep underground bases that work with extraterrestrials? No.
Are there any deep bases that work with alien genetics?
Deep underground bases that work with alien genetics. Are there any deep underground bases? Yes.
Yeah, so I literally cannot find this one video, unfortunately, because it was one of the most interesting I've seen. There was a scientist who said he worked in New Mexico, and he was in Albuquerque, and there was a small little building, very unassuming, very tiny, and you walk in and it just is an elevator, and he said it went down like 50 stories, and he had to have a clearance, and it was all need to know basis, and they would put you into a room where you would examine a weird piece of anatomy, and you had to basically write a report about it and kind of answer if it was human or not. And
I really wish I could find that video so we could probe it. Can you ask Bashar if, based on that information, if he knows about the base that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Cool. And is it in New Mexico?
Is it in New Mexico? Yes.
In Albuquerque?
Is it in Albuquerque? No, it's outside.
Okay. And are they still researching genetic material from extraterrestrials there?
No, they've moved on from that. They're doing a lot of cloning type of projects, like experimenting, mixing DNA, like creating hybrids.
Mm-hmm.
What, with aliens? No, not with aliens, just with species that are here on the Earth plane.
Okay, and ask Bashar, what is the most successful hybrid they've made so far? With what creature?
Well, man, what is the most successful hybrid that they've made so far? I see like a man's face, but almost like a horse body.
Wow. You just reminded me of some interesting information. And what else have they made?
All sorts of things. They've also are looking to see like if the combination of two species creates like massive diseases.
Mm-hmm. And have they made any half human, half fish people?
Ooh, have they made any half human, half fish people? Yes, that is correct.
Are there any mermaids on the planet?
Yes.
Are they actually in the ocean?
No. They couldn't survive in the ocean. Too dangerous.
And while I'm looking for this thing I'm typing in, what does Bashar think there's a Loch Ness beast, a huge creature in the Loch Ness Lake?
There's several.
One that might be referred to as the Loch Ness Monster?
Yes, that does exist. Now, it's interesting that you should ask me that question or ask Bashar that question, because I have actually seen something similar to the Loch Ness Monster, but not in Scotland, in the Thames in London.
Wow.
I freaked out. It was weird because we were sharing a house in an area called Canada Water. For those of you listening, you'll know that Canada Water is quite at the time, it was very trendy. It was completely redeveloped. And the house that we had was right on the River Thames. So oftentimes we would sit outside a lot. We were right next to the river. And I was in university. I didn't stay there very long at that house, but I was in university and I had to get up early one morning to go into central London to do some studying. And it was just, there was nobody else out. And as I walked out the front door, I looked at the Thames, as I always did, and there was this creature that looked like the Loch Ness Monster, and it was huge.
Wow.
And it was clearly paddling. And that's the thing. It clearly had some sort of paddling motion, right? So it wasn't like an eel, which goes, back side to side, right? To move like a snake, like it goes side to side. this thing clearly had some sort of legs or webbed feet or something that caused it to paddle, because when something's paddling, then the head of it thrusts forward, right? It thrusts forward. That's what I saw. And I was like, okay, I'm just a little spooked now. And no, I wasn't hungover or anything like that. But no, I saw something similar, very similar to the Loch Ness monster, but it wasn't in Loch Ness, obviously, but it was in the Thames.
So what I'm wondering on that note is if they function the same way that the Sasquatch do, in which they are at a higher vibration, which is why most people don't see them.
Okay, so I don't know why. Okay, I think it's just a thing that psychic mediums have to encounter.
Yeah.
But I've seen a UFO, I've seen the Loch Ness thing, and then I've had 4 encounters with Sasquatch.
Yeah, so this one alien actually talks in great depth about what Sasquatch is, and that's actually Treb. Talks a lot about how it was basically an alien race that moved here or is experiencing life on Earth for whatever reason.
Is Sasquatch an alien race? Yes, I feel like it was created by aliens, yes, but using human DNA. Because what is so crazy about the whole Sasquatch thing, we had lots of sightings out here where I live, like over 300 sightings. Now, this was a few years ago, but you have to remember, like, we're in a farming community. So these farmers were losing their livestock. And the way that the livestock were being killed was very alarming to them. The heads were cut off. Deer were hanging from a tree 10, 20 foot high, draining all the blood out. Fish were hanging from tree. Everything was draining the blood out before they ate it. Something was reaching through a chicken coop, fencing, like the chicken fencing, busting through it every night and pulling the chickens out. So one of the farmers actually waited at the side of the coop, because this thing had a routine. It would come by every night at the same time. And the farmer waited with his pickaxe, thinking it was another animal.
Yeah.
And this thing, comes around, sticks its hand through the wire, busts the wiring. And as it did that, the farmer came out from around the corner and struck it with a pickaxe on the shoulder. And the thing, he said it was a massive ape-like creature. Now, I think it was actually a juvenile Sasquatch. We have lots of sightings. You can hear them out here. Their howl is like nothing you've ever heard of before. It's very distinctive.
Yeah.
It's very loud. It travels a very large distance. There's a lot of underground caves. We believe that they travel through the underground cave. So anyway, so I had some people coming through for readings about what the hell was going on with it. What was this? Mm-hmm. So I got a little team together and we went out there and we had an encounter. And so then I called the BFRO, which is the Bigfoot Research Organization for the local area. And they actually came out and investigated the exact spot where we had the encounter. And these ladies, they're actually ladies, which is surprising, isn't it? Because they're hanging out in the middle, in the middle of nowhere at midnight. And they said they'd never been so terrified before in their life. Well, they weren't terrified of the Sasquatch. That didn't bother them. What bothered them were this loud music and drumming and singing. And then suddenly, like hundreds of orbs just crossed their path and went through their vehicle. And that scared the hell out of them. They called me the next morning. They're like, Liz, we are never going out there ever again. This is crazy. Anyway, they alerted the BFRO, the bigwigs, and at the time they had a BFRO show. I don't know if you remember, but there used to be these 4 or 5 people that would go looking for Sasquatch. They did actually come out here and film an episode looking for Sasquatch, but they were looking by the river, and I don't think that they were successful. But I've actually had 4. I've actually seen 4 of them. We had a standoff with 2. Well, there was 3, but 2 of them were very aggressive. They throw rocks at the car. The one was extremely aggressive and was shaking the tree. And this tree was huge, right? So the magnitude that it shook this tree, it was like shaking a stick, right? That's how strong they were. Now, as this thing was shaking the tree to get us away, to warn us, the other one started army crawling towards my car, and I'm driving, right? And we were shooting a radio show. It wasn't me. It was one of the people that were with me. He was shooting his radio show. Now, the guy in the car with me was 6'7". And he pulls out this little switchblade and he said, "This is all I've got." And I said, what the hell are we going to do with that? Right? Because, these things are even bigger than you, and you're 6'7". So this thing was army crawling to my car. And it actually stood up about 3 feet from my car. It was towering over the car. And I couldn't think of anything else to do other than hit the bright lights, right? Because I know they don't like lights. And when I hit the bright lights and lit up the whole area, because it blinded them and allegedly, it blinded them and they couldn't see us. Then this thing took off running up the hill. And the guy in the car and his little radio crew were like, "Drive, drive, drive." So I floored it down this backcountry lane. I floored it and got out of there. Now, the interesting thing about Sasquatch is there's a couple of interesting 3 facts that I find very strange. One is they always have these strange orbs around them. Okay. They always have these weird sort of lookout orbs. And
look at Bashar what those are.
What are those lookout orbs? Those are energy balls. They do serve as a lookout. So it looks like he's telling me, Bashar, this is great, because I always wondered what they were. Bashar saying they create these energy balls and they report back information, because they clearly connect on an energetic level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we came around the corner. We saw this massive, or a couple of massive blue orbs. I mean, they were big. They were probably the size of a basketball, which is quite big for an orb. And this thing went, you could hear the energy coming off of it, like it was alarmed that we had come around the corner. And then it went, and it flashed. And it went flying up into the sky, right? Mm-hmm. So it was the weirdest thing. Now, the second thing that is, a mystery about the Sasquatch is the fact that they can zap you, okay? And that has actually been confirmed. I did interview a BFRO lady on my old channel before it got taken down. And there it is, right there. See, look, to the right, that blue orb, that is exactly what it looks like. Okay. So then I interviewed this lady, and she confirmed she had been zapped before, and she was part of the BFRO. So they do have this ability to send energy beams to freeze and harm humans so that humans cannot get close to them.
Well, let's find out what's up with that. Can you ask Bashar how these Sasquatch are able to do some of these things? Are they an advanced species, or what's up with that?
They communicate telepathically. So how come they are allowed to shoot energy beams? They can shoot, so they gather up all their energy, and it's almost like it's shot out. They direct it with their hand, and it's shot out to a human or animal. They use it to freeze animals as well for the kill. Now,
yeah, what was your third?
The third thing is that they can disappear on the spot. So,
yes.
that is just bizarre.
So Treb actually explains that, and from his perspective says that if you see a Sasquatch basically turn invisible, it's because you have lowered your vibration, because they're like really high vibration beings, is what Treb says.
That is correct. They are high vibrational beings. So when all this Sasquatch fury was going on out here, a person that I've known since, childhood, he owns a massive farm out here, 300, 400, 500 acres. I don't know. But he's also a musician. So he likes to sit on his front porch on a nice evening and play his guitar, right? And he had a couple of his friends over, and they were jamming on the front porch because he's got kids, right? So he has to play outside and not inside. And it was about midnight, and it was on a weekend. And suddenly, here comes the Sasquatch walking right next to the front porch. So these three, it sounds like a country song. They threw down their guitars and they chased after it. And they actually cornered the Sasquatch. And they were just about to get it on video, and bam, it vanished. And they didn't even know what to say. It just vanished. It just disappeared.
Ask Bashar how they disappear.
How did they disappear? They make themselves invisible. So do they actually disappear and relocate to another place? Yes, they can do that too. In that instance where my friend was chasing the Sasquatch and they cornered it, did it make itself invisible, or did it disappeared? Do they travel in caves? Sometimes they do. Where do they live? In very, very remote areas.
Do they communicate with each other? Like, do they have the same depth of vocabulary as we do?
No, they're very primitive.
Oh, okay.
But what is interesting, that's a good question, because on another occasion, I'd had another encounter. The first encounter I actually had was this place called the Wash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, a wash is where it's a creek and you can drive through it, unless the river or unless the creek is up. Most of the time you can drive through it. Well, there was a lot of incidents around this area of the Wash. And what we believe was that the Sasquatch were using this as a target to kill deer, because the deer in the summertime or in the wintertime, whenever, would come down to the Wash to get a drink of water. Okay, so it was a prime hunting ground for them. Now, there is this old dilapidated barn next to the Wash. And as we came through the Wash, we had our windows down. The car was very quiet. And we heard, so it sounded like a group of old men talking. It was very guttural, but it was almost like, when there's a group of people talking, but they're just a little too far out of your ear range, so you can't make out what they're saying, but they're talking. Yeah. That's what it sounded like, right? So we stopped the car and we looked at this barn, and they started throwing rocks at us. So we had to leave because the rocks were getting bigger, right?
Wow.
So we had to take off and we had to leave. But that, I believe we heard them.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
And,
I haven't been out there in a long time.
and on the note of species talking to each other, can we ask Bashar about dolphins' speech to each other? Or what is their level of vocabulary to each other?
What is now? Dolphin vocabulary is very advanced.
Okay, and what are dolphins talking about?
What are dolphins talking about? The water. They're talking about the everyday life, what they encounter. They're recalling memories. I don't know if that's unique to their species. I don't know if animals actually can communicate their memories to one another, but they're recalling their memories. They're saying things like it's nice to see you. Just it almost sounds like basic human interaction.
Yeah, so dolphin brains are closest in size to human brains. So, and they have a very insane spectrum. Can you ask Bashar if he can understand dolphin?
Yes, Bashar can understand just about anything.
All right, we're gonna put him to the test.
'64 pre-work where I really my station much of the work in the Dolphin House 900 hours.
All right, what do you say?
I didn't hear him say anything.
Oh, they're the clicks. It's the clicks.
Oh, play that again, please.
The time is 0900 hours. Much
What did that dolphin say? It was like a routine. Nice to see you.
Okay, and can you ask Bashar?
Also that it's hungry. It wants food.
Ask Bashar how we can what is the there's a very specific name for this when you decipher a language. I think it's called like the something stone. What is the key to dolphin?
Rosetta Stone?
Yeah, what is the Rosetta Stone to dolphin language?
What is the Rosetta Stone to dolphin language? It's like a code.
And
The code.
Is each click a word, or is it a string of clicks? How are dolphins separating each word?
The click is a sentence, and it goes by pitch. So where we, to our human ears, cannot decipher the differences in the pitch, dolphins, with their magnificent hearing, can. So they know exactly what it means. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, basically, are they separating their words, or is it one, or is their speech pattern like a big glob of thoughts?
Are they separating their words? No, they're not really separating their words. It's like a sentence.
Okay, and then just for fun, I don't know if this would help anyone, but is there any language on Earth that is closest to dolphin language that would help researcher unlock it?
Yes, but it's very tribal, and they also use clicks.
Yeah, that's actually just what I was thinking about. Funny enough.
Oh.
But do dolphins have any opinions about humans?
as a whole?
Yes, they do. Generally trustworthy if you allow yourself to trust them. They don't hate humans, not like some other species out there. I feel like the what is it? The killer whales. What are the other name for the killer whales? They hate humans. They don't trust humans. That is in their DNA. They know not to trust anybody.
And does Bashar think that communication is happening through whale sounds?
Absolutely, yes.
So they're talking to each other.
Yes.
They do make some really amazing sounds. Cool. Okay, and then the last thing I have really, and then I have an interesting story about an orb. But can you ask Bashar if the ancient symbols of blue people in our history, if they were based on actual blue people that were on the planet?
Ooh. No.
And
blue was a color of royalty.
And does okay, from Bashar's perspective, was there any type of being that was human-like that had blue skin in our past here?
No.
And
it really was just a symbol of wealth and royalty, because making the color blue was extremely difficult, and it was only the wealthy or the royals could use the color blue. I feel like people were actually even forbidden to wear the color blue, to have anything blue.
And can you ask Bashar if the Anunnaki have blue skin?
They don't have skin. They have an energetic outline, and that is correct. But then most things do have a blue energetic outline.
So I was trying to probe one thing Bashar said. He actually said that beings a long time ago were, some of them were blue, and they were of Anunnaki descent, and the blue was because they had a lot of copper in their blood. Can you ask me if that's true?
That's correct. A lot of copper can create a blue tinge, but humans cannot survive with a lot of copper in their system.
But can you ask him if there was any human hybrids that had blue skin in our history?
Are there any human hybrids that have blue skin in our history? Slight tinges, yes, but nothing out of the ordinary. Hybrids as in hybrid humans, or hybrid as in alien hybrids?
Well, they were, from Bashar's perspective, from his channels, Anunnaki / human hybrids.
Yeah, that is so far along. That's way, way back.
Yeah. And
that was just an experiment.
Okay.
They don't do those experiments anymore.
Okay, on that note, can you ask Bashar if there's currently any like human hybrid babies in space somewhere?
Are there currently any human hybrid babies in space somewhere? No, because they wouldn't be able to survive the atmosphere.
Or I should say, on an alien planet, are there any human hybrid entities?
No, they would not survive.
Okay.
And you don't then convinced.
Hey, what?
I said, you don't seem convinced.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I'm most of my information is going off of what all the things that they channel. So sometimes they contradict themselves, and I'm like, you know, what can be said about that? Why ask Bashar why he contradicts himself sometimes here.
Why do you contradict yourself? He doesn't. But I don't have any emotional attachment to aliens. And it could be that the others do, and that they're forming their own emotions and opinions into the signal line. I don't have any emotional attachment to aliens. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't even like to talk to them. But for the fact that you ask such interesting questions, I allow it. Other than that, I don't even allow it.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily know how interested I am either in aliens, but I find the outside perspective very interesting. But and they're really good at verifying a lot of information very quickly. But so I have one orb that I saw one time in closing. I was at work and I had just opened my third eye, and my third eye was very turbulent. I could feel a lot of stuff happening and energetically. And I was sitting at my computer, and out of the corner of my eye, actually, this has happened a couple times to me. And this insanely bright red, like laser orb was right next to my face. Can you ask Bashar what that was?
What was that bright red orb next to his face? It was a spirit trying to get your attention. That happens frequently, by the way.
Yeah, it was so intense. I thought there was a sniper like lasering me in the eye because it was so bright.
Yeah, that can happen.
Because whenever I see one of these orbs, what's weird is another time maybe we can reference with Bashar. I was laying down half asleep, and the orb seemed like it was under my eyelid, like it was between my eye and my eyelid. It was so bright, and I don't even know how to explain it, but it looked like it came out of my eye, like I was witnessing my soul leave my body or something weird. It was very weird.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, what does Bashar think of that moment in my history?
What do you think about that moment in Mr. Robot's history? It caused you to freak out and shut down.
But was it me witnessing a spirit like leaving from my dream world?
No, it was you witnessing a spirit that wanted to enter into your dream world.
And on that note, actually, Bashar says that when we wake up, it is actually this is our dreaming life, and when we go to sleep, that's actually closer to reality of what real life is when you're asleep. Can you ask him if that's a true statement?
Ooh. So when we're asleep, that's reality. And when we're awake, that's false. That is correct.
Yeah. So I actually spent a lot of time thinking about dream state because I have such weird dreams. And with the information Bashar presents, you could live a whole lifetime when you're asleep because time is so different in that state. So the question is why are we living other lifetimes when we're asleep?
We're not. But what we are letting go of is gravity and time and space. So it's a time when our consciousness can actually communicate, and it's a time for us to remember what we actually are, which is we are souls in a human body. That's why it's reality. Being stuffed in a human body, having to negotiate and maneuver your way on the earth plane is not reality, right? Because the reality is we are souls.
And so the question becomes, is life after death very similar to the dream state?
That's a good question. Very similar to the dream state. Yes, because you're able to go wherever you want without the body.
Okay. And then the question becomes, why are human dreams so weird when we should have continuity?
Why are human dreams so weird when we should have continuity? It just depends what realm you're traveling in that night.
Okay. And what is Bashar's view on someone's dream who has like apocalyptic dreams? Is that a real place being just like in this hypothetical? People have apocalyptic dreams. Are those other places in the universe that are experiencing that, or is that just a reflection of the earth, or what is that?
Dreams. That's all your fear, and your fear is energy, and it manifests itself. Now, that is interesting to me. Why, Liz? Well, because my husband suffered with apocalyptic dreams his whole life. Mm-hmm. Many nightmares, just over and over and over. And it's always like these mass explosions. The earth is exploding. Monsters are chasing him. I mean, it's just awful. And when I first started working with George Duisman doing the CTT, we actually did a couple of CTT sessions to see if we could get rid of his nightmares. And it worked. He doesn't even remember. What is so remarkable about the CTT is he doesn't even remember he had these nightmares now, right? We managed to get rid of these nightmares. Because, I mean, sometimes he would scare the hell out of me, right? I mean, he's screaming in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh, my God, I can't take this, And sometimes they were really bad. He would have a spate of really bad, nights where he one after the other. I'm like, I cannot take this. And so I was telling George about it. He said, let's do some CTT to see if we can do something about it. Right. And we did. And he's never had a nightmare since. So it's connecting to the fear. So when Bashar says it connects to the fear and you're manifesting that, and that becomes your reality, that's why you have those dreams. It's actually not a connection to the earth. It's a connection to the fear, energetic fear within you.
But does Bashar say that the material of dreams is, is it like another universe that we're in? Or like, are we how much creation is there versus illusion of creation?
How much creation is there? That's a good question. How much creation is there versus an illusion of creation? It's a mixed bag. It's a mixture of the two.
Yeah, because the question is like how much impact your brain has on something that should be non-physical, which shouldn't have anything to do with your brain. Why does the brain have so much impact on dreams?
Why does the brain have so much impact on dreams? It doesn't. the information has to be communicated through the brain, but the information is actually coming from the subconscious and the soul.
Okay, and let's talk about people that we see in dreams who we've never met in real life. Are they people who are also on the earth plane who communicate with you literally, or is it just someone in your imagination?
No, it's somebody from a past life.
Yeah, so the picture I'm trying to paint is if this is a universal field that everyone is accessing, or if it's within yourself and no one else is able to enter it.
Yes, we can all access it. Spirit, aliens, entities, humans, animals.
If we have a dream where we interact with a friend, did that friend actually meet you in the dream space?
Okay, I got another story for you. If we have a dream or we interact with a friend, did that friend actually meet us in the dream space? Yes, that is correct. I knew that. Okay, so this happened to me one time and one time only. That when I was in London, my best friend at the time, I was staying the night at her house, and we were staying in the same room. She was in one bed, I was in another.
Mm-hmm.
And we both woke up shouting at the same time. And we both like caught our breath. And I was like, oh my God, I had the most craziest dream. This fox was coming after me and you started shouting at the fox, and this thing just went and was about to grab us. And she started screaming at that moment. She goes, oh my God, I just had the exact same dream. You tell me. I don't know. It gives me cold chills when I think about it now.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating because like sometimes when I wake up from a dream, I experience a version of me that has nothing to do with the current version of me. It seems like it might have been a past life or something. So I'm just wondering how much validity there are to dreams, or if it's just chemicals.
Oh, is there a validity to dreams? Yes, extremely valid. There's chemicals involved. What do you mean chemicals? As in brain chemicals or as in external chemicals?
Serotonin and dopamine, if those have major impacts.
Yes, that does. Yes. It's all connected.
And is that mostly to do with our interpretation or with the functionality of the dream?
It's mostly to do with our interpretation or the functionality of the dream. Interpretation.
And then does our pineal gland release DMT while we sleep?
Does our pineal gland release DMT while we sleep? Yes. What is DMT? I know we touched on it before.
Dimethyltryptamine. It is a drug that is found in almost everything, and it is very hallucinogenic. And scientists like to think that, you know, when you're having when you're dying or someone has a near-death experience, your brain is releasing DMT, which is coincidentally a hallucinogenic. So scientists like to say, oh, that near-death experience you just had where, you know, you left your body and you talked to your family was actually just DMT being released. Can you ask Bashar if near-death experiences are simply just DMT being released?
No, they're actual experiences.
And when someone has a near-death experience and they see angels, are they actually seeing angels?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, we should do a probe on near-death experiences because there's a few people on YouTube that have some really cool near-death experiences. And then just so people know where to look if they are interested, you can go to Shaman Oaks and type in NDE, and almost all of these stories are super interesting. But we can do another video on those sometime.
Yeah, we should. Definitely.
Because they have very vivid recollections of essentially what stuff is like when you're dead. Because they died and they came back or whatever.
We should definitely visit that.
Yeah, totally.
I would like that. Maybe that should be our next video.
Totally.
Well, folks, it was a long one tonight, but full and jam-packed with interesting information. Sorry about my stories, but I had to tell you because I feel that they're educational. Sasquatch does exist. There is a Loch Ness monster.
Yep.
UFOs do exist. And I've had the same dream as someone else right at the exact moment. And psychic mediums have a lot of these bizarre occurrences. And I think the reason that we do is so that it's the universe's way of, reaffirming that there's so much more out there than this 3D life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to, a group of psychic mediums, like when I'm in London in the summer, which I haven't been for years now because of COVID, we all have similar experiences. It's not unusual that psychic mediums, see these things and witness these things. It's like spirit keeps showing it to you so that you stay open, you remain open. You're not shutting down information as and when it's presented to you from the people that you serve. So very interesting. Now, for those of you that love Mr. Robot, like what I do and a lot of people do, he does energy healing. So please contact him at moongrass777@gmail.com. If you want to book a reading with me, I am now. It's October the 4th, 2022. I am booking out into March 2023. I am so sorry about that. There's nothing I can do. So I would suggest book one soon before I end up in June and July, and then my calendar will shut off at some point. It will just close down. So if you want to book a reading with me, psychiclizcross.com. And don't forget, there's the 1 question option and the 3 question option if it's something pressing. And if you want to interact with Mr. Robot, you can do so by giving him an email, making suggestions. Again, that email address is moongrass777@gmail.com. Any last words, Mr. Robot?
Oh, just also that dolphins can talk to each other, but everyone knows that already. But
I don't have any crazy dolphin stories yet, but hopefully one day I will. All right. Well, thank you very much. This has been absolutely riveting. And I look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Perfect.